Welcome to the Credible Nerds Podcast. We provide news, commentary, and reviews for all types of nerds, from the hardcore to the casual.
What's up, my nerd?
So are you guys hardcore nerds or casual nerds? We got it all. Sometimes we're hardcore, sometimes we're casual. Just depends on what it is, right? So my name is Justin, and we are here to talk all kinds of nerdy stuff. This is the Credible Nerds Podcast. That's what we do here. Like I said, my name is Justin. I'm here with my co-host, my partner in crime, fellow nerd, Mark. How's it going?
Hey guys, doing good. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And today's a special episode for us. Way back in 2017, back in the good old days, when we had to walk uphill both ways in the snow, we started a podcast, and we are here 6 years later, still going. We've enjoyed it. We've had our ups and downs. We've had our hits and misses, but we like it. So we're here back again for our 6th year anniversary show for the Credible Nerds Podcast. We want to welcome you to this momentous occasion for us. We're in uncharted waters, and I feel like every year we get a little better. First couple years were rough, but still fun. But we've gotten better and better, and we hope to do so this year. So thank you for joining us here on the Credible Nerds Podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Help us out. And obviously, if you like the videos, comment on them, like them. Helps us out. Doesn't cost you anything. So Mark, it's been 6 years since we started doing this for real. What do you think? How do you think the journey's been for us?
It's been a huge learning curve, right? If you look at some of our stuff, it was really rough.
Yeah. Good content, but it was rough.
Yeah, and I think it's as I watch movies or I read books or play games, I look at it from a little bit different lens, right?
Yeah.
I look at it from like, I'm going to have to talk about this. Like, this is something glaring I see. This is something great. This is not so great. So I start taking like notes of things. Like, I feel like I am taking in the movie better because I know I'm going to have to talk about it later.
Yeah, for sure. I've kind of done the same thing. I'm still able to enjoy it, but I'm a little more critical. Or I don't know if critical is the right word. Analytical, I would say, at least. Mm-hmm. And like, I like this movie. What do I like about it? Why do I like it? Is it the characters? Is it the story? Is it the action? Whatever, So I start to get into more of that type of thinking and kind of just analyze it more and assess it better. So it has been fun. I feel like our presentation style has gotten better, and I have become a lot more comfortable in behind the mic and in front of the camera. For the first couple of years, there were times where we weren't live; we were just doing the audio thing, and it took me like 4 or 5 times to get the intro down right. And I just hear in the background laughing. It's like, come on, dude, get it right, spit it out.
I remember that you'd start speaking there. Wait.
Yeah. I'd mess up my words, stutter or whatever. And I still kind of do that, but it's not as bad as it was. I think, and then we switched to video this last year, doing the YouTube videos. And that's actually helped a lot, because I don't know if it helps me focus on like the camera in front of me. And I'm not too worried about, people are watching me or people are listening anymore. It's just like, it just seems to flow more natural. The first little bit was hard, but I got into it a lot quicker than I did with the audio stuff. So that was interesting. I thought it'd be the other way. I thought the video would be a lot harder. So we're here 6 years, going into our 7th year here pretty soon. One of my first goals, at least, was I just want to get 100 episodes out. And first it was like 25, 50, see if it was worth it. And once we got to that point, it's like, okay, 100 episodes, then we'll kind of see where we're at. And right now we're up over 200 episodes. I think this is like 205 or something like that. So not bad.
Nice. No. I mean, you just start doing it. I think we kind of go in lulls too, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple month period where we're just gung-ho, we'll film a bunch, and then life happens or something. And like I went through some big changes in my life over the past year, so I've been kind of in and out quite a bit, but starting to pick it back up again, get back involved. So That's good. Like life allows us to, do this as we come and go. And, I've talked to a lot of people lately about my podcast, right? Like, oh, I do a podcast, what's it about, this and the other. And I just explained it, we love to nerd out and we do that. And at the end of the day, we just love it, whether we have 1 watcher or 1,000 watchers, like we just like to do it, and hopefully people like to listen. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've noticed, over the past few months, we're starting to get more and more listeners, more subscribers. So if you have subscribed recently, we definitely thank you for doing so. It's just awesome. I know we're not like the smartest guys, the nerdiest guys in the room and all that stuff. But I feel like we have stuff to say that's interesting, at least. And it seems like people are picking up on that. So thanks, guys, for watching and listening. But so just some highlights that I was thinking back, what happened this last year? What did we do? What changed? All that stuff. And I felt like we started producing more content with the video podcast. And there's also, like you were saying, you were going through some hard times. And I was definitely understanding of that, respectful of that. So I wasn't like, hey, dude, drop everything and let's record. I didn't want to do that to you. So I was like, hey, I got my buddy who lives next door. Let's see if he wants to talk Indiana Jones or something. So I started bringing on some more co-hosts, and they're doing good. I like them. I like what they have to say. We brought in Kyle for the Wheel of Time podcast, and he has some great viewpoints and perspective and things like that. So, we're just bringing in more people with more interests and things like that. So trying to be more consistent with our podcast. We want to do at least 1 a week. Sometimes we don't do any a week, but then we'll do like you're saying, we do a bunch. We have like 3 in 1 week. And so, but the goal is to be more consistent. I feel like we're doing that more so lately. So, and then also just doing, like I mentioned, the YouTube instead of audio as our main recording. Cause you can, pull the audio and just post it to your audio podcast feed. So it's 2 birds with 1 stone, basically. So anything that you can think of, Mark, or that I forgot as far as this last year for this 6th year?
I think kind of like our focus, right? We've kind of talked about what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? A couple things we want to do, like, we talked Wheel of Time, but it's an older book. But we have a series coming out. We've talked about Cosmere stuff. We're obviously doing a lot of Star Wars stuff. They have a lot of series coming out, so we like that. I think it's really just kind of nailing down our focus and being more consistent, kind of checking ourselves, right? Because we want to put out content, we like it, but we have to take the time to do it. And so I think that's just us coming together and saying, all right, we're going to put a 2-week time limit. We'll be back. I think we're doing a little bit better at that, holding ourselves accountable.
Yeah. Yep. Because it's easy to get lost in, family and work and all that fun stuff, travel, right? We both been on a lot of vacations lately. So it's, just like you said, be more consistent. So, so that's kind of what I think. Some of the things that I want to do moving forward, we hope to do is just have better video quality. Like you said, as a learning term, there were a couple episodes where we recorded it and like my audio recorded on the video and yours didn't. Or there's even one where we recorded it and I forgot to press record. So we had to redo it. And it was like, wasn't that good? Because we were like talking about it again and it was kind of tiresome. But, so there's that aspect, but also a previous episode that me and Harry did, a Star Wars one, I started adding pictures and it's still pretty amateur. I don't have the best video editing skills. I'm not a videographer by trade by any means. I'm just learning as I go. So we're trying to like add more stuff, be more professional, if that's a word. And if we have to, we'll hire someone, once we get some money off the podcast, we'll hire a video editor to make it that much more engaging. So not only better quality, but more engaging content is the goal for this year, whether it takes a couple months or you don't see it till month 11. That's the goal. That's what we want to do here. So, as far as videos, do you have any thoughts on how we could or what we could do this next year to make, because we've seen other videos, other YouTubers, they make some pretty awesome videos out there. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that level. Hope maybe if we, stick with it for another 6 years, but I don't know. What do you think could be our next few steps, Mark?
I think like I've thought about this, and this is ultra nerdy, right?
Right. That's what we do.
Cool to do more visual type stuff, right? We sit here and we talk about it. You see you see me. It's kind of weird, right? Because my webcam's way up here, and my screen is way down here. So a lot of times I like to look down.
Yeah, we see your forehead.
I know. I'm just looking at our picture so I can see us, right? It feels weird just looking at this.
Yeah.
But like doing more like interactive things. I don't know, like when we kind of pull out our books and show our books and talk, show what we're talking about. I kind of I like that kind of stuff, because a lot of the times if I'm a reader and I've never heard of this book, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like, but it's cool to see it. Like, oh, that's the book they're looking at, And, like we get leather bound books that are amazing all the time. Like, it's cool to show that stuff. I think that's something I want to do more of, like, just to kind of show, I don't know, what we have, and it's cool, and this is where we got it from. I don't know.
No, I definitely have had the same thoughts. I mean, because we started out in an audio format, so we didn't have to show anything, right? We just had to talk and make that as interesting as possible. And the format tended to be, it's called, the long format, where it's an hour long or maybe more. But with video, it needs to be, and we're still doing that with the video format, right? So we need to be able to, like, okay, like you said, here's the book we're reading. These are some of the pictures and artists and art and things like that. So definitely have thought along those same lines. Like, we need to up our video game more. So our video prowess more. So hopefully we will do that this year. So if anybody has any great ideas, comment below in the comments and let us know what works for you or what you've seen. So that's definitely something we want to do. We also we have a website, crediblenerds.com. All our stuff's posted there as well. We want to, at least I want to, have more written content on the website. And then we've done some things here and there. I know you've written a couple of reviews, and I've written some, but it takes a minute. I'm not a writer by trade, obviously, so to sit down and write a review, sometimes, I don't know, it's weird because sometimes I'm in the mood and it's a couple hours and I'm done. And other times it takes days for me to get something out, and it's not very good. So I do want to get better at that. At least me personally, and perhaps we even hire someone who is a better writer, and that they can produce content that way. We do want more written content, more engaging written content on the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we did when we first started. I mean, this is our first year, maybe two. Do you remember this? We started writing book reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought they were pretty good book reviews. Like, we were learning, right? So I'm pretty sure those are terribly raw as well. I mean, we're by no means writers, right?
Right.
And so, but we did do that. And then I think we switched platforms, right? And we lost them all.
Lost most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we couldn't recover quite a few of it. But I think writing stuff would be cool. I know we did a couple, like when we did about some Wheel of Time stuff, we wrote some stuff up, and that was pretty neat. So yeah, I think it'd be good for us, to communicate that way, and people can read stuff. Sometimes people don't want to listen to a hour-long podcast or something, but maybe they want to read a quick history, 500-word history on whatever, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, so definitely want to move into that realm more. It's kind of the same thing everywhere. Just what we're doing, we want to do better and more engaging and just more interesting, really. So we can always get better. So whether it's written content, video, audio stuff, yeah, for sure. And also, we do have a website store. We can buy. There's a couple T-shirts up on there. They're nothing amazing, but so that's kind of like, it's amazing. Go buy all this stuff. This shirt right here, Credible Nerds, our logo shirt. We do have some of that up there. We got some hats as well. So if you want to support us that way, definitely do so. But I want to get more swag on the website, whether that's, Credible Nerds branded stuff or just artist creation. The people create their own designs, nerdy designs, and sell them on the websites, or whatever that looks like. That's something I want to do this year is have that option, because I've always liked people's creativity, and then to see it on a shirt, it's pretty cool. So.
One thing I thought of is, because we like to go get autographs. We have some people coming in, big celebrities coming in, I think in FanX. I like to get autographs. So I'm wondering too, like if people, like some people can't make it, like if it'd be worth, getting an extra autograph or two and then selling them, like for people that can't make it, that might be kind of neat. Things like that. I know we get like a lot of the books when they first come out, first edition books, and I like them. They look great, but yeah, I'm okay, maybe. So, I think I'm going to start looking about, getting some content on like that for people that are interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of going to eBay and paying a ton of money, you can get ours, go to our website and buy it for a little less. So, yeah, it's a good idea. Be like a third hand type thing for sure. All right. So those are kind of what we're thinking about doing for this 7th year, lucky number 7. We'll probably come up with some different ideas as well, and we'll do that. So it's been an interesting year. If you're thinking from, August 2022 to August 2023 this year, that's kind of our cycle. We published our first episode like the first week of August, and then that's kind of our anniversary date. So if you get to kind of think in that time frame, there's been a lot of good movies, a lot of good books and things like that, TV shows and video games that have been released in the past year. So we're going to talk about our favorites, what we thought was good, what we enjoyed, and things like that. So let's start off with video games. You're the gamer of the group, game expert. I like playing video games, but I honestly haven't played for a while. But now that my kids are gone, we're empty nesters officially. I have more time, so maybe I'll get back into it. But so what were some of the big releases this year for you, Mark, that you were excited to finally play?
So the games that I really was kind of waiting for. So and I actually bought a PlayStation 5 specifically for this. Was the first one was Harry Potter. I played it, fun game, it was great. I kind of ended up so I put it on hard mode, and then I ended up kind of getting bored with it because it just kind of became easy mode for a while. It was just kind of like I was just running around doing a bunch of chores, right? But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the story. I had a really good time playing. I'm glad I bought it. I would definitely play it again.
That's Hogwarts Legacy, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. And the rumor is they're making a second one.
We weren't able to get out of our source if they are, but we think they're going to make a second one.
Yes, and so I'm hoping they do, and I hope they make it a little bit more open world-ish, but, we'll see. So,
did you finish it yet?
Not yet, and this is why. Final Fantasy 16 came out.
Yeah.
I have literally.
You've been talking about that game forever.
I have. I mean, they got Final Fantasy 16. I think later in this year, at the end of the year, they're going to come out with the second Final Fantasy 7 remake. I'll buy that, play that all night, and everything. So those are great games. I love them. Final Fantasy 16 is it's a Final Fantasy game. The only thing I don't love about it is it's not as open world as I thought it would be. It's pretty linear. Like, they have some side quests and stuff, but they're like, you could skip them and never feel bad. You don't miss it.
Okay.
Right? So it's just kind of busy work. Same thing. It's just busy work. But it's a fun game. A lot of fun fights. I really like how the Final Fantasy's gone with some of its fights. I kind of was bummed that they went away. I think it was Final Fantasy 12 or 10, might have been 10 with Lightning, when you could set up what's called paradigms, right? And as you're fighting, you could change them. So like you could kind of micromanage what your people are doing, your group. And so like say you need a guy to all of a sudden heal. You can change your paradigm up and one guy will start to heal. Well, this one is they take all control of your people away and they just kind of do random stuff. So it's kind of annoying. Like it just kind of feels like you have people with you, but they don't really do much because their damage is ultra low and they just keep getting around and flying around everywhere. That's kind of like, but fun game. I'd recommend it if you're like a Final Fantasy fan. Do it up. You're not going to go wrong. If you've never tried Final Fantasy, but you like role-playing games, great start. You're not going to go wrong with it. Just pretty fun.
Which one's the best Final Fantasy so far?
Ooh,
is it 16? Yeah.
7 or 8, hands down. Those were my favorite. I really like Final Fantasy 2. If they did another remake, I would want them to do Final Fantasy 2 before they did Final Fantasy 8. Final Fantasy 2 was my first one in, and I still love it. It was on regular Nintendo. Oh, no, it was on Super Nintendo, I think. So it was a long time ago, but it's a really great storyline, and I think if they remade it with today's graphics, everything, that could be a really fun game.
Cool.
So, but yeah, Final Fantasy 7 I mean, that's why they remade it, right? It was probably the biggest one at the time. Yeah. Another game that came out that I really liked. This is I don't know if you're Steam players, try this, Symphony of War. It was just this low budget game. I don't know how low budget it was, but it wasn't very, I never really heard of it. And then it came up on a suggestion list because it was on sale. I bought it and I played that game for 2 weeks straight until I beat it. I mean, it was amazing. I love that game. I think I played 60 hours in 2 weeks, right? I mean, so it is a lot of fun. My poor kids are just like, Dad, I'm hungry. Too bad, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but
there's milk in the fridge.
Cereal again tonight, But we had a lot of fun. I had a lot of 1 a.m. mornings, going to bed and waking up at 4. So it was brutal. Definitely try that one. The next game, this is the last game I'm going to talk about that I'm really looking forward to, Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, yeah. I've seen stuff about that. It's been forever since Baldur's Gate 2 came out, though, right?
Oh, I mean, geez, I
20 years?
Probably more than that. I mean, let me look. Baldur's Gate 2 release. We're going to Google this right now. It came out in 2000, 23 years.
Yeah. I was going to say, I played that back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, and it was a good game, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
So this has been in beta for quite a while. You could buy the game on Steam for the last 2 years as they developed it. I kind of held back because I didn't want the waters to get muddied as they develop it. And I just want to release it. I think it comes out next Thursday, August 3rd, if I remember right.
Okay.
And I'm gonna buy it, hands down. I did hear some rumors, so it has nothing to do, because before, you're the child of Baal and you're all about, trying to figure out your legacy and you're going to replace them or save the world, whatever you do. This one has nothing to do with that. A lot of people, if anyone's played Divinity, if people play Divinity out there, a lot of people saying this is Divinity 3, not Baldur's Gate 3. I don't really know. I mean, I think if they have, you bring in Baldur's Gate to it, some Neverwinter Night type stuff. You bring in some, Waterdeep and what's that other game that they have? Dang it, I can't remember. Icewind Dale. You bring in some of that. I'm happy. As long as you stay in the world, I can get you need to change the story up because Baal's dead.
Right.
He's not coming back, and so, But even if it is Divinity feeling, Divinity was a really good game. You're not what's there to feel bad about? Oh no, it's another great game. So I'm excited. I would suggest trying that one. It's out on Steam. I'm sure you can get it on multiple platforms. That's where I'm going to buy it, is on Steam.
Okay. So that one's coming out soon. What about Diablo 4? That was a big deal a couple months ago. I guess it's still a big deal.
So I did not buy. I am a Diablo fan. I have played every single one after Diablo Immortal, which was the terrible skin, the on your tablet type thing game.
Yeah.
I lost all faith, and I mean, so I don't know. A lot of people have talked about that Diablo's now come really pay to win type game. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I've read a lot of reviews. I've heard it's a fun game, but then once you get to the end, it's kind of like, all right, I'm not going to grind for 50 hours for minimal gain or pay. And so I don't know. I just decided for me, I'm not going to get it yet. I'm going to wait till probably another year as things kind of flesh out and Blizzard changes up their game plan a little bit, because you've seen that in the past where like games have come out, they've been pay to win, pay to play or whatever, and then they change it up later to make it better. That's what happened to Baldur's Gate or to Diablo 3, is that there's some big holes in it, and then they fixed it and came out with their expansion. And I ended up buying both of them, but I wish I would have waited for the expansion. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do here.
All right, cool. Well, if you were, I am actually thinking about getting back into it. What do you recommend? PC, Xbox, PlayStation, something else?
Depends what you want to play. I think if you're playing any first-person shooter games, if you want to play any of those type of games, go get a console. I think that just the way it's set up, I like holding the controllers, shooting me some fools up, and blah blah. Squat my guy on their face as they res. Come on, you got to do that. And so, if you like first-person shooters, I definitely get console. I don't think you can go wrong there. Or NBA games or stuff, you get console. If you like RPG games, RPG-style games, and like I do, I would get computer. I just like it better. I don't know why. Maybe a million people are going to disagree with me. I just like to sit at a computer more than sitting at my big ATV where I feel like I'm going to get motion sickness.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my take.
Yeah, I'll probably go console then. We'll see. All right. Well, so that's video games. A lot of good ones that came out recently. And we'll see what the future brings. Baldur's Gate 3 and then more. Is there any other up in the next few months, like early next year maybe, that you're looking forward to that you can think of?
So there's one on my wish list that I have, and two of them. Well, one of them, I guess. Frostpunk 2. There's a game called Frostpunk that came out years ago. It was surprisingly good. I think it won a bunch of awards on Steam. And really what it is the world froze over and you're trying to let people survive. And you have to make crazy decisions like there's this one where it's like, oh, someone stole from you. Do you keep letting him steal or do you chop his hands off? It's kind of like, oh, this is went from 0 to 100 really quick. And you have to make these crazy decisions that affect your people. So it was just a fun game. Yeah. So they're coming out with Frostpunk 2. It's supposed to release in 2024. No one knows when, but that's one I'm going to buy for sure as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that one, nerds. Well, Mark will give us a review at some point, I'm sure. So let's move into the books, our favorite books for this past year. I did read some books, and I'll go over my list, and then you can talk about your favorites for the past year if you want. Okay. So I'll start with number 5. I did a top 5. Number 5 for me, I probably would rank it higher, but it's one I've read several times before, so it's not a new book. It's just I really like it. The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, Wheel of Time, Book 4. And I've read this. This is probably my 7th, maybe 8th time reading it. And it's just, every time I read it, it's just so good, right? It's just, at this point in the story, if you're familiar with the Wheel of Time, things that they've been talking about for the previous 3 books, things that they're wanting to set in motion, finally get started. Rand declares himself as the Dragon Reborn. He actually did it in the last book, but it was the end. But this one, he is the Dragon Reborn. Perrin, he goes off on his quest back to the Two Rivers to defeat the White Cloaks. And Matt goes with Rand to the Aiel Waste. And so all these things start to happen. The group splinters, and they all have their own quests and their own character growth. And just Robert Jordan's writing in general is just so much better at this point, right? He's a prolific author, but with a lot of things, like with our podcast, the more we did it, the better we got. And so that's where he's at. He's just gotten markedly better than the first couple books, and it's just entertaining. It's fun. Like I found myself laughing while reading, some of these chapters, some of these character interactions. I found myself crying because of some of the things he's written. I found myself just like, oh, that is so awesome. It's just the range of emotions, and just everything was just awesome. It's just a great book. It's one of the best ones of the whole series. So that's number 5 for me, the books that I've read this past year. My number 4 is it's a series, so I'm kind of cheating. There's 3 books, maybe 4, depending on your format. But it's a series I read like in high school, and I hadn't revisited till just this last year, with the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series by Tad Williams. So that's Dragonbone Chair, Stone of Farewell, and To Green Angel Tower, parts 1 and 2. And that was a great series to read as well. And when you read something as a teenager, like, oh, that's cool. You have that teenage mind and lack of experience in the world, and then you read it later on as an adult. It means different. It hits different. So I really enjoyed that series. It is fantasy, like Robert Jordan is, and George R.R. Martin. So if you haven't read that series, Tad Williams, he's a great writer. He's written a lot of different genres, styles. He mostly does kind of sci-fi fantasy type, but he has written, like he did a series called Otherland, and it's the Matrix before the Matrix type thing. Not necessarily the Matrix. I'd probably say more Ready Player One before that, and that was really good as well. So he's just a great writer. He's written some great stuff. Number 3 for me is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. We did a review of that on our podcast. It's on the YouTube channel, so check it out. And that's the 5th book in the Mistborn Era 2 series. So it kind of wrapped up that arc, and it was good. It's a fun read, as most of his books are. So that was enjoyable. The second one, number 2 for me, my second favorite book for the last year, is actually a series of comic books from DC. It's the Injustice Gods Among Us, the complete collection. And I read like the first one when it first came out, but then it kept going. So I was like, I'll wait till it's done, and then I'll finish it up. And so I didn't get back till a few months ago. And it was really good. Like, it starts off, Superman, Joker kills Lois, and usually, with Superman, he takes the high road and he brings the Joker in for justice and puts him in jail or whatever. That's the normal Superman story. But this one is, what would happen if Superman got pissed off and he just went off the rails and started killing people, like an eye for an eye type philosophy. And at first you're like, yeah, go Superman, go Clark Kent, and he takes care of the Joker, he takes care of all the bad guys, and then he just kind of puts the world on lockdown. It's like martial law for everybody. If I'm sick of this, if anybody messes up, they're dead, right? So you're just like, yes, finally, I wanted to see this happen. But that's like year 1. And then as it goes along, Batman's like, he's like, this isn't right. This isn't how it should be. So then you see that schism between Batman and Superman and the Justice League. They take sides. Wonder Woman sticks with Superman, and so forth. So then you see the Justice League split, and then all the superheroes split, and it just goes on and on. It gets worse and worse, and more conflict between the Justice League and the different factions and humanity, right? Aquaman goes off on his own. He's like, I'm done with this. I'm doing my own thing. No one cares about the oceans and ocean life, so we're going to have our own kingdom. Don't come mess with us, because if you do, everyone's going to die, because, he has the command of all the whales, the sharks, the fishes, the ocean in general. He can cause tidal waves and wipes out some cities. And so he's just like, don't even come here. Don't mess with us, right? So it's just the scope of it, and kind of what you see of the storyline, stuff you would never see in a movie, a DC movie, or kind of the main storyline, I guess you could say, of DC Comics. So it was pretty awesome.
How like the game is it? Do you know?
I only played the game a little bit, so I don't know the storyline of the game. I would just do the fights, and then I don't know. I kind of got bored with it.
Yeah. I played the first one, but I haven't played the second one, so I didn't know, how close they were.
Yeah. Aiden, I talked to Aiden about it because he did play the game, and he said there's a lot of similarities, but I think it ends the same because it ended, and I was like, well, where's the next one? He's like, well, that's how it ends in the game. You have to play the game. And then, so I think it leads into the game maybe, or I don't know, something like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. So there's some connective tissue, but they are two separate things. And then Injustice 2, I guess, picks up the story later, and I haven't got to that point yet. So.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely worth a read. I think there's 5 trade paperback collections, so it's kind of long, but it's a pretty fun read. And then my top pick is The Cradle of Ice by James Rollins. He's typically like a secret agent. His main storyline of his books that he's written before it's called Sigma Force, and it's like this secret, top secret government agency that goes out and stops supernatural type events. But he switched to fantasy. This is book 2 of his series, and it's really interesting in the sense that it's actually, I don't know if it's Earth as in our Earth, but it's a civilization like ours, if not ours, thousands, if not millions. Well, it's probably hundreds of thousands in the future, where the cataclysm has happened. Everyone's kind of changed. The land has changed, and it's just how these people are trying to survive. And they find this. It's almost like a gold android, and they find it's this mysterious thing, and as time goes on, they start to figure out what it is. It's not like this god. It's an android, and they have to figure out how to kind of reactivate it, get it to the right place, because the big threat is the moon is going to crash into the earth and destroy everything. So they have to use this android along with all these other bases to kind of stop that from happening. So it's hard to describe, but it's really interesting. So I definitely check that out. James Rollins, I like his writing style. It's very fast-paced, but informative, and you don't feel like you're missing anything really. So definitely check that out. What about for you, Mark? Top 5 or your favorite books this past year?
Yeah, so let me pull them up here. Top 5. So for me, top 5, Robert Jordan. Just getting back into it, right? We just read book 1.
Yeah.
Getting about to read book 2 Will of Time. Great books. I mean, I've already probably read the whole series 3 or 4 times. But, kind of starting over is a little bit nostalgic, remembering certain events. I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen, you know? So pretty cool. So we're doing podcasts about it currently, so you'll hear plenty about it. My next one I really liked, I read First Lord's Fury.
Oh yeah.
Robert, I reread that one again. It's part of a series called the Codex Alera by Jim Butcher. Pretty great series. It's 6 books long. It's not too long, but it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a new fantasy book, that doesn't. I mean, not that it doesn't. It's a fantasy book, right? But it doesn't go off in a crazy end either. Super crazy end. And so it's pretty cool. It's a great book to read. I thought it was really well written. I always wish he'd revive it, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's story to tell after. Yeah. But I don't think he ever will. But great series. Next one, another Jim Butcher, Battleground. I reread that one multiple times. I really like it. Justin, what do you think of it? Oh, you don't rate it. And so Justin stopped reading a few books ago. He wants to, get the series going, but because there was kind of a break there for a while.
Yeah.
But Battleground, great book. This is the last book in the Dresden Files out so far.
I figured if he can take a long break, I can take a long break too.
So, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it basically follows a wizard around Chicago, and his name's Harry Dresden. Mm-hmm. And so...
way better than Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's...
it's the adult Harry, wizard named Harry book series.
Yeah. And so it's really neat. It's really long. I mean, you can't even really summarize it so much.
Yeah.
Right? There's like 16 books out or something. And a lot of fun. Pretty good book. I kind of like the premise of it, right? You know, kind of like if there really were wizards alive and they really did live in Chicago, this is how it'd be. And it's pretty true, right? I mean, people would just write them off and make things up. Like, I didn't really see this guy flip a car. It must have been an explosion. You know, it's just kind of neat how they did it.
Yeah.
Good book. My second favorite book is also Jim Butcher's book, Aeronauts Windlass. You haven't read this yet either, right?
Nope.
It's book one. It's book one of his Cinder Spires series. New series, complete. It's I mean, I think it's more sci-fi, to be honest, than fantasy, but it's completely a little bit different than his other books. Like, it's a different take, different feel, different world, like type of world building, which is neat.
Has book 2 come out yet?
It comes out in like 3 months.
Okay, I'll start it then.
Yep. So I think it's called The Olympian Affair, is what they call it. So I'm excited for that book. I'm probably going to read Aeronauts Windlass one more time right before it comes out, just to re-catch up. But that's obviously, I like Jim Butcher.
Yeah, he's a great writer. He's a great writer.
So
we'll have to do a podcast review series on those two.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So can't go wrong with it. Check him out if you're looking for something new. Jim Butcher. Good stuff. My number one book this last year, easily, Lost Metal. That was such a good book. The ending was epic on like 55 levels. And it's so crazy. I know we talked about this in a previous podcast. My favorite character in book 5 at the very end, as I closed the book and reminisced on this great series, was 100% different than book 1.
Yeah.
And so pretty crazy. Worth the read if you like Brandon Sanderson. If you don't like Brandon Sanderson, pick it up. I mean, a lot of people, I think a good place to start is Mistborn.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues into the Lost Metal. Lost Metal is the very last book in that line of books. So, looking forward to more of their books. There's other books I've read. I've read some Glennon Doyle Melton. Is it Melton? I don't know if you've ever read her. Kind of like a real life, book. Kind of hits home. Kind of self-building book. I read 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. So some people like him. Some people really hate him. So those are probably some honorable mentions. I liked both those books. I think they had a lot of good things to say in both of them. So, but yeah, there's my books.
Cool. Yeah, you say honorable mentions. I would say my honorable mentions are Tress of the Emerald Sea by Sanderson that came out this year. And that one was weird. We still need to do a review on that one. That one I liked, but it was still kind of weird. So, and then his most recent one, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I think is what it's called. That one was the first few chapters of that. I was like, oh man, this is dumb. And then it just picked up, and I read the rest of it in one day. It was really good. So definitely worth reading. So those are my honorable mentions. So movies or perhaps TV shows. I did strictly movies, but if there's any TV shows, you can talk about some. But my top 5 movies for the past year: Guilty Pleasure, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I don't know. I liked it. It didn't do well in theaters. A lot of people wrote it off. and I understand why, but I still loved it. I still watched it. I watched it a couple of times in the theater, and I haven't watched it yet on home video, but I have it, so that'll be soon. Number 5, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I thought I would like the movie, and I did, but I was really surprised how much I liked that movie. It was fun to watch. It was great. Actors did great. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, everybody. Great movie. If you have not seen it, watch it. It's worth a watch. We did a whole podcast, like one of our longest podcasts ever. We did on this. We reviewed it, and you can find it on the website, on YouTube and stuff. So if you got a couple hours, pull that one up and listen to it in the background while you're doing chores or something. I don't know. Number 4, Avatar: Way of Water. I liked it. Like, the story wasn't that groundbreaking, but the visuals were amazing, right? Something you would expect from James Cameron, just like Avatar, the first one was. So I felt like I had to put it on there because it just the technical accomplishments that it had was just amazing. It was a fun movie to watch, and so I like that one. Number 3. Oh, shoot. I didn't write down number 3. Number 2, or the next one, I guess, Black Adam. Again, didn't do too well in the theaters, but I liked it. I liked The Rock. The Rock is Black Adam. You expect a certain style of movie with The Rock, certain way he's going to act, right? He's pretty much the same actor in most of his movies, and Black Adam was the character of Black Adam. He's always been that character now that you look back on it. And I just thought it was a fun movie. I really liked Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, all of it. I didn't really like the kid that much, but everything else was great. I had hoped they would do a second one. They teased Henry Cavill's Superman showing up there at the end, talking to Black Adam that they were going to meet up again, and I had hoped that would happen, and it was going to happen until James Gunn took over and screwed everything up. And then also Black Adam versus Shazam. You have to. That's like their origin story is them coming together and fighting, right? I had really hoped to see that, and it doesn't look like we're going to see that anytime soon, if at all. And then my number 1 movie, maybe it's just because I just saw it, but Oppenheimer was amazing. Not that exciting, as far as action goes, but just, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and it's great. It's interesting, intriguing, a lot of political stuff, and just science, really, and how they built the bomb and the atom bomb and how that all came down. It was just very entertaining to watch. So those are my favorite movies this past year.
Yeah. You said Oppenheimer, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna go see it.
We did not go see Barbie. We chose Oppenheimer.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen The Sound of Freedom yet?
Yes. That was good.
It was good. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't
I don't know.
Top 5.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of going with the nerd aspect, right? But yeah, definitely a great movie. And I don't get what the criticism is. I mean, how can you criticize a movie that is about rescuing children from human trafficking? I mean, that's the bottom line. If you disagree, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it because everyone was talking about how political it was. I'm like, I don't see what the politics is.
It is. There isn't any.
And he leaves his job to help kids who have been abducted and sold as sex slaves, right? Basically. Yeah. And it's like, okay, like saving kids from slavery is now a political agenda. So anyway,
yeah.
There you go. Okay, my movies. All right. Listen, Creed 3.
I haven't seen that yet. I want to see it though.
Right,
was it as good as the first two?
Credible Nerds will now be Mark and friends.
Mark's picks.
The fight scene at the end, you know how they always have the end fight scene, was probably one of my least favorites. but the movie and the story were really good. I mean, Creed is great. I think it's a great startup for the Rocky series, to kind of keep that alive as with Creed's story. I don't know where you go from here. There's a couple things you could do, but it was a little bit reminiscent of Rocky V with some Mr. T in there, right? It was kind of like mixing those two a little bit.
Okay.
Which is great because Rocky V was an abomination.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked Creed 2 with the Drago and his kid aspect, his son. I thought that was really well done. So I'm definitely I need to watch Creed 3 for sure.
Yeah. Creed 3, good movie. Number 4, John Wick. The last one. I mean,
the fourth one?
Yeah.
Is it fourth?
Yeah, who knows what it is. He killed 10,000 people with one bullet. So, I mean, killed some people at a bar with the pencil, So, great show. The ending was a little weird. I think there's going to be another one. There has to be another one. But, I mean, this guy, he just kills everybody. Every movie, he just kills more and more people. It's amazing, why I like this movie. I just watch these little action sequences where he just annihilates everybody. Yeah. So it's pretty neat if you've watched the first bunch. I mean, it continues the story along, keeps going. There's nothing new with the story. We know what's happening.
Is he still killing people because they killed his dog, or was that just the first one?
Yeah, that's kind of past. At this point, it's kind of evolved into I killed 200 of your people because of my dog, so you went after me. Now I'm going to kill 1,000 people. So, but it's kind of cool because we start getting in the last movies, you start hearing about the high table and things like that. So this kind of goes into what the high table is a little bit more, who's involved, how you get a seat at the high table, what you have to do. So it was a little pretty neat, kind of they fleshed some of it out. They didn't answer some, but John Wick. Number 3, Super Mario World. I mean, that is such a nostalgic show and such a nostalgic movie. It was just fun. And the song Peaches, I mean, me and my kids, we love it. It's a great song. So, Super Mario World. Number 2, D&D.
Yeah.
Liked it. Great movie. Like you said, liked it way better than the first one. I thought it was going to kind of take a similar path and feel like the original one from decades ago, and it completely wasn't. Right? You brought Chris Pine in and Barbarian, who loved it. I don't know, a dwarf. What is he?
I don't know. A hobbit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool, how he did it all.
Yeah.
Even the paladin, right? They brought in this crazy paladin. It's watch, he's gonna walk right over the rock, and he just goes right over the rock.
Yeah. So good.
It's so good, and I like too because it's the Lost Realms. I liked how it was Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
All the bad stuff happens in Baldur's Gate. It's like New York City. All the bad stuff in every movie. It's always New York City. Baldur's Gate. So pretty cool. I liked it. Fun movie. My last one, The Flash.
Yeah.
It's got to be The Flash for me.
I
love DC movies. I really like The Flash. We talked about it. I mean, Michael Keaton, when you're bringing him back as Batman, you cannot go wrong. So, original Tim Burton aged Batman. The dude's 70-something plus years old and being Batman. So,
yeah, you did a great job.
I disappointed in all the critics and stuff. Personally, I love the movie. I'll watch it again. They just released it on Vudu. I bought it. I've watched it already, so nice. I will watch it. So, easily my favorite movies. Excited for more coming up. Can't go wrong. I think as far as a TV show goes that I'm looking forward to, Ring of Power.
Yeah, I'm glad they got that finished before the strike. So, looking forward to that. I was trying to think of TV shows, and that one did pop up. Other than that, I don't know. I'm not into the TV shows as much. Like 10, probably 15 years ago, I was a TV watcher. But lately, not so much. I'm more into the movies. So, but so if you guys know of any good TV shows that are coming up, let us know in the comments, because I do want to watch a good show, right? Preferably one that's been out for a while, so you can binge it and get up to speed to the current season. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So those are our favorite movies for this past year. Yeah, and again, what do you guys think are your favorite movies for the past year? Let us know in the comments, and why. Because I think, and it's interesting, it's funny, because ever since we started doing our podcast, we mostly both of us prefer DC, right? That's kind of the DC Marvel debates. That's our side. But we both appreciate Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. We did a whole series up through the Avengers Infinity War saga. We reviewed each one, so you can go back and listen to those. And we had good things to say about the majority of them, right? So, and I think a lot of it is they put out more content that's more agreeable with the general audience. But ever since we started doing this podcast, it's like things have polarized even more than what they were. It's like, not only can you not like DC, you have to criticize DC. You have to point out every little thing that you don't like and make that as a fact as to why these movies are terrible. And then it went to Star Wars. Star Wars had a revival, and now you have to that's the cool thing now, is to criticize Star Wars, criticize Disney in general. And I get fair critiques of movies, of books, or whatever. And oftentimes I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree, that was kind of dumb or whatever. But it's not like it changes my overall thought of the movie. Like with Flash, very vocal criticisms on social media and in the media reviews and things like that. Like you were saying, disappointed in the critics. I am too. And some of the points I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But still, I enjoyed that movie. And I'm glad I saw it in theaters. And, so it's interesting how polarized and how negative things have been. You can't just like, oh, I didn't like that movie. It's like you have to destroy that movie online nowadays. And it doesn't go the other way. Like, oh, I like this movie and these are the reasons why. And people are like, yes, and they champion your cause. As the positive side doesn't match the negative criticism that's out there. And I don't get it. Other than the fact that people like to read negative comments more than positive comments. What do you think, Mark? Have you noticed that? And where's that sit for you?
It's tough, right? Because you want to talk about stuff that people want to hear about. And I feel like you said, it's so polarizing. Like, you get worried to mention, to talk about the movie The Flash, right? It did terrible. Like, you have to hate DC. Ezra Miller ran into some legal trouble, and that caused a big controversy. But the movie's still good. Like everyone wants to talk about, like, well, yeah, but if you watch the movie, you support this. How many people watch that director's films? How many people still watch that director's films who was arrested for, rape and like all that stuff, right? And so I feel like it's so selective. So for me, I'm going to watch a movie for the movie's value. And I'm going to like it or not like it. And if I like it, I'm going to talk about it. If I don't like it, I'm going to talk about it. But I'm not going to, start changing what I want to see and what I want to experience because it's popular or not popular. Like, I can enjoy something and not agree with everything Ezra Miller does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because if that were the case, we wouldn't watch any movies, because every actor has done something that somebody disagrees with, right? Even if they feed the homeless people on Thanksgiving every year, people are going to criticize that. Like, so I don't, what do? You just, like you said, you have to watch it for the movie's value and the movie's sake, and talk about the movie, not all this behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what we try to do here at the Credible Nerds. We try to be as, positive about the reviews, try to push that positive side. But if there's something we don't like if you listen to our Wheel of Time Amazon Prime show reviews, we're pretty vicious with that. And it's not because we don't like it necessarily. It's because we feel like they're falling short. They're not doing a good enough job. And we feel like that's fair. That's fair to criticize. Doesn't mean we hate the actors. We hate the director and all the writers and stuff. We think they can do a better job. And so that's kind of the area that we try to live in, is push the positive. And if there's stuff we don't like, talk about it and say, hey, this is how you can do better, And as much as we talked about season 1 of the Wheel of Time series, we're going to watch season 2. Like we're boycotting it or whatever. But so yeah, I think it's just fair. You got to be fair. If you're going to push the negative, you got to push the positive too. You got to do both sides to be fair. So we have no agenda, I guess, is another thing too. We have no agenda to push. No one's paying us for these reviews, so we can say what we want. So yeah, that's it. Any final thoughts on our 6th anniversary, year 6?
Stay with us. I mean, I think we're getting better at it. I think we're starting to pick up a little bit. Looks like more people are listening. If you want us to talk about something specific or have questions, ask us, engage with us. So, we like it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well said. I agree. So thanks everyone for listening to this episode of the Credible Nerds podcast and for joining us and celebrating our 6th anniversary. Hopefully we'll see you next year in year 7, and we'll be talking more of our favorites, and hopefully we'll be that much better next year like we hope to be. So thanks guys for listening, and we will catch you next time.
I see you guys.